Hello, we're back for the third podcast for Northern Lights. Why don't we introduce ourselves? So I'm Jordan.
I'm Stacey.
Oh, I'm Ben.
Megan.
No, I'm Cameron.
Cool. We're just going to jump straight in and talk about The Walking Dead.
I think we've got Carol's episode, Daryl's episode, and last night's to talk about, so we're going to have to be quite sum all that up now.
Right, so Ezekiel. What does everyone think about Ezekiel?
At first, I didn't like him, and now I think he's really cool.
He was my only favourite bit in that episode. It was quite boring otherwise. I really didn't enjoy it in general.
I think at first, the worries that Carol had about him were, legit, if that makes sense, because I think I would have felt the same if somebody was like,
Yeah,
I'm going to call
absolutely.
I'm going to just be a king.
I
would
straight away.
Totally
Yeah.
judge him. And then when he kind of opened up to her and had that heart to heart, I warmed to him a hell of a lot more. And I don't know, I'm kind of sad that it's now 2 episodes later and we haven't seen him since. I don't know about the rest of it, but I kind of think that Walking Dead gave us so much drama in the first episode, and now it's kind of just drip fed. And I watched it with my boyfriend, and he's kind of got a bit bored now. Last night he was just on his phone the entire time, whereas I was kind of interested about some things of last night.
Last night episode was the best.
Do we think that Maggie's, spoiler alert, actually dead?
Oh no, she's not.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it was pretty much
She's-
confirmed that
She's
she's
at
not.
the hill, isn't she, with the
Do you
doctor?
think? Oh
yeah,
yes.
they're hiding her away.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see. I totally forgot that the hilltop existed.
But
I
it
was like,
was
yeah.
a good job though, because Negan said he was going to take her away, didn't
Yeah,
he?
that's
which was
true.
just really creepy.
Oh, it was horrendous.
That was more than creepy.
Yeah, just a little bit. I really fancy Negan, though I know it's really inappropriate because he's so scary and serial killery, but something about him's just a
The
little bit
actor's
hot.
generally, he's really, really good.
He's
though.
amazing.
yeah.
I think he's just totally made this season for me.
Yeah.
But with the whole Maggie thing, I was kind of oh my god, Maggie's dead. And I was like, no, they wouldn't kill off a character from season 2.
No,
And it was when they looked at each other and oh yes, Maggie is definitely dead. And I was
Yeah,
like,
what's his name coming in
Yeah.
and showing them the grave and him saying,
Yeah.
I'm
Did-
really glad that we made a grave.
I
That didn't actually need to be filmed.
felt bad for Daryl though, because I think Daryl's just kind of oh my
Aw.
god, Maggie's dead. I'm
Yeah.
she's not, it's fine.
Speaking of that scene though, did anyone else laugh out loud when the vicar gave Negan a fright?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still really don't
Yes.
like the vicar though.
No, I hate him.
No, his character development is really good though. At the very start, it was slow, but I actually like where he is right now.
I just I think he's just so nothing. Unless he totally changes and becomes really awesome and does
He's-
loads of stuff for the team. I just
Yeah.
really
I don't think that would be
He's
his
becoming
character.
Dale from season 2, where
Yeah,
he's just
he's
the
too
he's the
smiley.
annoying good cop.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm just no one's that happy.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
It's slightly strange in a way.
It really is weird.
But it really solidified Negan's place as
Oh.
sort of the king of all of the groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massively, but I kind of saw a bit of Negan in Rick, towards the end.
Yes.
You know, when the guy
Oh,
who
yeah.
Say yes.
yeah, and he was
Yeah.
if you say that one more time,
Yeah.
I'll break your jaw.
There's going to be
Oh,
so
yeah.
much tension amongst that group because now Rick has been taken from the top. He's going
Yeah.
to want to reassert himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only way he can do that is to bully his own group because he can't bully
Mhm.
Negan's group.
Yeah.
You really can't.
And
I think people should understand though, because obviously no one's in the position that Rick's in, and everyone's just I can do a better job, and then they'll obviously witness Negan. And I kind of feel sorry for Rick because everyone is kind of bullying him and saying that I can do a better job. Rick's not doing his job, and then if they were in his position, in any film that's ever existed, they'll probably poo their pants and think that, oh, okay, I know now where he's coming from and why he's doing what he's doing.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what next week's Walking Dead is like, because I think a few people are kind of getting a little bit bored. One Easter egg in last night's episode that absolutely broke my heart was I can't remember what the young girl's called, the one that Carl's kind of seeing, and they were teasing her about the green
the
balloons.
balloons.
I was just the green balloons. If you listen and you can't remember, they are when Glenn found that girl
Yeah.
whose name I really can't remember now, and he used the balloons to bring her back safely, and it was just, I was like, oh my god,
Wasn't
my
it
little
also-
heart.
It was a sign for Maggie. As
Yeah,
well,
it was for
wasn't
Maggie, and it
Yeah.
just so many feels.
It was adorable.
It really
Then-
was.
Was it bad that the main bit from that scene for me was how creepy the guy was being? Say please.
Oh, yeah, it
yes.
was so twisted, wasn't
They're,
it?
they're definitely on a power trip, I think, Negan's group.
Yeah. Well, you would be, wouldn't you?
What about the huge reveal about Judith? that
Oh, yeah.
Rick knew all along that
I
it was
don't-
Shane's, because that was the first time it's been confirmed.
Yeah.
to
We've all
me-
kind of thought, but
Yeah, to me that wasn't a huge kind of thing. Like every time I saw the baby, it was always in the back of my head, and that was kind of for me that he's accepted that, and I was like, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I saw on the media pages and stuff thing that huge reveal, and I was like, oh, yeah, not really.
I think we all knew that it was happening. I
Yeah.
saw a really funny picture online actually of Rick holding baby Judith, but they'd like photoshopped Shane's face on baby Judith's face. It was very funny. So up next, Westworld. What do we think about Westworld?
Well-
Westworld's really interesting. Like, I wanted to get into it, and I bought Now TV for The Walking Dead, and I started watching that. It's actually really interesting.
It's honestly like my favourite thing on TV at the moment.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's so good. The concept's so good.
It's based off a film from the 80s.
I
Oh,
did
do you
not
know
that.
which one?
Yeah, Westworld.
It's also called
Of the same
That
name.
explains it. That explains it.
It is just honestly like I've just been singing its praises since it started. It's just
Yeah.
incredible. I'm so excited to watch the episode tonight that we record this the day before you actually hear it. But apparently like some serious stuff happens and I just cannot wait.
and Anthony Hopkins is just a pleasure to watch,
so
as
good.
always.
Yeah,
Which one's that, sorry?
The kind of the scientist guy that's behind everything.
the creator,
Oh, yeah,
Where's
yeah,
Waistcoat.
so
The
good.
kind of
Yeah.
the hide him away.
Yeah,
But he's
It's absolutely brilliant.
He's so
Yeah.
casual. I
Yeah.
love characters like that are casually badass.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
that sense.
He's a really like OG sort of.
Mhm.
He's an old school actor and he's absolutely brilliant.
I was so like rooting for those two like guests that are in at the moment who were really rich, and one of them's like really not a nice guy and the other one's
Yeah.
like kind of become friends with Dolores. I'm so rooting for the nice guy, and I was
Oh,
really happy when
Yeah.
he let like the really mean guy get beat up last week and just kind of walked away with Dolores. I was like, yeah, you tell him.
But it's not really news. Like we all saw it coming, but it has been announced that we're gonna have a second season. Obviously, I mean it's been doing so well.
Yeah,
Of course, it's getting a second
obviously.
season. But I hope they don't drag it on too long,
Nah.
Yeah,
because if it becomes the Walking Dead effect,
Yeah.
and it kind of drags out.
it's definitely one of those things, isn't it? I think I'm just about ready for The Walking Dead to be over now.
Yeah.
I think it's things like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones where, yeah, we don't get like seasons and seasons and seasons, but they cut them off. They're like, right, okay, it's ready for this to die now.
Yeah.
Let's not just totally prolong it. And I think The Walking Dead, as much as I do love the show, I think it just needs to end quite soon, because I also feel that way about Once Upon a Time as well. If any of you fellow like Disney people watch Once Upon a Time, like they just kind of do the same thing all the time. So in Once Upon a Time there's just loads of curses and then everybody forgets their memories, and then in Walking Dead it's always like, oh, there's a bad guy, oh, there's a place where we could potentially live, it gets destroyed, let's go outside for a little while, let's find another place, oh,
There's
there's
an
a
even
bad guy.
worse bad guy.
Yeah, like I'm just I think I'm ready for it to be done
Yeah,
now.
It's
sadly
like, a
it
bit like
makes
Friends, isn't it? Really. I
Yeah.
mean, Friends got to a point. Everyone loves Friends, but then it got to a point where they
Yeah.
had to round off the story.
Yeah, you
so
like
I
need
think
to know when something's just
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
for it
It's
to
time
die.
time
It's
to round
time
it
for
off.
it to go.
Yeah.
but sadly it makes so much money, and the comic book series are still going.
Yeah.
Like they won't end it anytime soon.
Yeah.
It'll become like Coronation Street. It'll just be on. We'll just watch out of habit, and it'll just be like, oh, what's Rick done this week?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, it will probably become like that.
No,
Oh,
that'd
so
be
funny.
really sad if that actually happens.
That would be a bit like Emmerdale as well.
They're both practically the same thing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
actually.
Up next, I think we're going to talk about the new Beauty and the Beast trailer that launched this week. I know that we touched on this in last week's podcast, but last week we hadn't had like a full-on proper trailer, and now
Yeah.
we do.
It looks
So-
so good.
What do we think about this?
If anyone actually listened to the podcast last week, they remember that I was quite skeptical. I was saying that I'd watch it to see it out of curiosity, but the trailer actually looks really, really good, and they've depicted the original Disney animation for me really well. So I actually want to go out to actually watch it because I want to, not out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I really liked, Cogsworth and Lumiere's design, how they actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looked natural in a way, but not.
Yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
tell.
I've got a lot of feelings about this. So I'm very excited. I think. Right, so initially, let's take it way back. The first photos that were ever released, not the Entertainment Weekly ones that came out last week, but the ones before that, I was like, yes, Emma Watson is Belle, perfect. I'm a bit of a Disney nerd, as a disclaimer, if you can't tell already. So I was like, yes, perfect casting. Everybody else, like Gaston, Beast, Maurice, like even down to like Lumiere, Cogsworth, Miss Potts and Chip. I was like, yes, love it, awesome. Very excited the entire way through. And then yesterday I was just like at home lying in bed constantly refreshing Twitter for the like trailer to come up, and then it did and I was very excited. Thoughts. I used to hate the way that Mrs. Potts and Chip look, and they've kind of grown on me now, but I still think that live action Mrs. Potts is a really, really bad version of original Mrs. Potts, because she's like one of the most iconic Disney characters ever, and kind of all they've done is get a teapot and stuck a face on the side of it, and I'm not on board with that.
That's all they really can do though, because it's the live action version.
Yeah, but like they haven't done that with Cogsworth and Lumiere. They've really integrated the original design, and they should have done the Mrs. Potts. Right. Problems.
What could they do then?
They could have just like sorry.
No, it's alright.
Like given like her like the teapot spout as a nose, like everything. I don't know. There's something there.
It feels like it's playing it a bit safe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Cogsworth and Lumiere are absolutely stunning though. I just adore it. Everything else casting, I'm like hell yes. Gaston is absolutely perfect.
Luke Evans.
Yeah, it just. Like everything that I could have dreamed of. The sneak peeks of Gaston's tavern, I'm like, yes, perfect, absolutely beautiful. Maurice is okay. I'm really annoyed. This is such a tiny Disney nerd thing. Philippe, Belle's horse, is brown in the like original, and now they've made him white, and that annoys me. But the biggest thing that really surprised me from the trailer is, as a proper Emma Watson fangirl, I adore everything that she does, both in film and like her works for like UN and like women's rights and stuff. But although I thought she was a perfect Belle to start with, and now I kind of don't, and I don't really like what she's done with the role. I know I've only seen 2 minutes of her play Belle, but I watched it and I was like, you are not Belle for me. Like, in my head, like, sometimes she was and sometimes she wasn't. A moment where I was like, yes, you are Belle, was when she picked up Chip and she looked at him. I was like, that's because Belle's one of my favourite princesses, so she's like very dear to my heart. I'm so sad, I know. I was like, yeah, good interpretation, but the rest of it, I kind of thought she was like overacting, and I was like, no, that's not Belle to me. And I don't know if it's because she's got a British accent, and
maybe
I wouldn't want her to have anything else, but I don't know, there's just something there, and I'm really frightened that she's going to ruin it.
Who else would you have?
Somebody said Emilia Clarke, and I was kind of on board with that, but I don't know if Disney would have cast her, because obviously she's like been naked in Game of Thrones. But I don't know, like, I do kind of love Emma Watson as Belle, but I don't know.
I feel like she might have had to do a lot of green screening with it, so she might have had to overact.
Yeah, it might be difficult to interact with things that aren't really there.
To be
But
fair,
then
you
she
say
did
that.
Harry Potter, so
Yeah, you say that, but you look at the kid in Jungle Book. He was the only actual actor in the film, and he did that. I think he did a stand-up job in that film, and he ate the whole thing, even when he was on Baloo's stomach.
yeah.
Like, Bill Murray was never to be seen.
Yeah.
So I think yes, but she's got the experience to be able to deal with that. I think.
And I think the way that Lily James brought Cinderella to life was perfect, and that, like, the live action Cinderella is one of my favourite things that Disney have ever done. I think the way they depicted it was absolutely beautiful. It's like flawless, and I don't know, I just kind of, there's something about Emma Watson as Belle that I don't love anymore, and it breaks my heart that I feel this way. And I'm trying to suppress my negative feelings, but they're just still there.
But as long as we're talking about little things in the trailer, I mean, I'm kind of annoyed that I know obviously the Disney version it's a lot different because obviously it's animated, but I do wish they casted someone different as Belle's dad, because the one thing I loved about him was his cheeks.
Yeah, Maurice is supposed to be tiny and plump, and that is not, that actor is not tiny nor plump.
No.
Ewan McGregor is Lumiere though. We had doubts last week where he got a French accent off, and I think he's done well in the trailer.
I've seen people on Twitter kind of speculate whether or not he's got it down right now, but I'm totally on board with like the objects in the house. One thing that I'm really sad that we haven't seen yet is the wardrobe, because she is one of my favourite characters, and I swear to God,
she is so eccentric. I love her.
If they overlook her, I will not be happy. But overall, I think it looks good, but it's just Emma Watson. I'm like, please don't ruin it. I'll be very sad.
And the other huge trailer that released recently as well was Star Wars Rogue One. Is everyone excited for this, or has anyone got any reservations?
No, I think everyone, well, I say everyone, me, even if there were no trailers at all, and well, maybe one, I'd be excited regardless. this trailer, my opinion is that they've used a lot of stuff that they've used in the other trailers, and they've shown little other bits, but I think that one good job they're doing from the trailer is that they're not showing too much, because to me, even though it's to do with the Death Star again,
Isn't it always?
it's quite well in the recent ones it's a new Death Star, isn't it? And it's been that since the original first Star Wars 3. And I actually quite like that this is a story about how they got the plans for the Death Star and not they're trying to destroy a new Death Star. So I like that aspect. With regards to the other films, I'm just really annoyed that they've been reusing the same storyline over and over and over.
See, I'm like quite a big Star Wars fan, but there's something about Rogue One that just doesn't. I'm like so bored, and I know it looks good, but I don't know. I don't feel like compelled to go and see it, and I really don't know why.
Were you excited to see the other ones?
Like,
Is that
as
the
in
same?
The Force Awakens, and
Yeah,
I was really like massively hyped for the rest of them. There's just something about Rogue One that I'm
Yeah.
just like,
See,
I'm
I'm the
kind of like, I
complete
don't really
opposite.
care.
I think it's got a lot to prove, because this will prove whether they can successfully do a film
Absolutely.
without the Skywalker family.
Yeah,
That's true.
I
Because
think they did
they've kind
really
of
well
leaned
with
on
Force
them.
Awakens.
Yeah,
think
I
they
love
did
Force
really
Awakens.
Well. I think it's a difficult one, because having such a big franchise out for so long, I think they needed to nail Force Awakens to have a good opportunity for this one.
yeah, to
I
like
think
bring
they
it back
re-
for like
yeah.
a new generation.
I think they really did it well. I think, my little brother and sister had never seen Star Wars before, and now they're mad. They're really keen on Rogue One. So I think that's more their focus.
Yeah,
Obviously, what they did with the original ones, having them out of order, I think is good to go back to that that storyline. And I think it's really, really good, and I'm intrigued. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but they have got to get it spot on. Otherwise, people who are fans of the old ones will fall out of the franchise.
yeah, they'll kind of think that they're just doing
making
it for the money.
making it sake. Yeah.
Talking about the order of it, because I'm one of those people that watches films actually in order. So
like chronologically.
yeah, even if they're brought out in packs, I'd watch Rogue One first, and then one of the originals.
Is this where does Rogue One come in the timeline?
Straight before Episode 4.
Yeah, because
Oh, right, okay.
It's the original first Death Star, and
Right.
do you know how they're all talking about we got the plans and we know how to destroy it, and then Luke goes off and destroys it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they got those plans.
This is how they got those plans in the first place,
Ah.
which is why I like it, because
Oh.
Yeah,
it's,
it
it's
brings
kind
it
of a
back to
twist.
the old. Because obviously,
Okay.
Force Awakens was a new chapter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's a chapter 8 next year, and
Yeah.
then chapter 8 next year. So this one is kind of for us old Star Wars fans,
Yeah.
trying
Okay.
to link the story back
Yeah.
a bit. Which, like I say, they have to get spot on, because if they don't, it could
Yeah.
end it for
I'll be
me
annoyed.
personally.
I will say that one piece of Star Wars news that has kind of broken recently that I'm very excited about, because I'm a very big fan of Childish Gambino, is Donald Glover
Yes.
cast as Lando.
Yes,
Calrissian.
absolutely.
Yeah, like,
yes.
oh my god, made my day when I found out.
Perfect casting.
Yeah.
I always do Lando as my Star Wars
Yeah.
fancy dress. That's always me, so I'm really happy with that news. I
Really?
think Donald Glover's
No.
brilliant.
Just
as an
can't
actor,
wait.
and,
Yeah.
I couldn't be happy about that, because I love Community as well. He's
Yes.
fantastic in Community. Like, it would have been perfect if they got Arbed as Han Solo.
Oh my god, imagine.
But the huge reveal in this trailer was that the Death Star is actually used on the planet that the film is actually set on.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's a first test, so it doesn't destroy the whole planet, but
Yeah.
like does a lot of damage. So I think that's that, and the Force crystal gets given to Felicity Jones's
Yeah.
character as well.
I think that's just to add intensity because it looks like they've got the plans, but now they're trying to escape from what the trailer looks like. So I think that's just a film aspect, and they're not kind of thinking story-wise and really, really deep into it. It's literally just for that. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I hope the whole Force crystal thing means it doesn't mean that they feel like they have to rely on having a Jedi in every single
Yeah.
film.
Yeah,
Because for me, the most interesting characters often aren't actually Jedi.
yeah.
Like Han Solo is hands down my favourite character.
Well, what's the guy with the stick and he's blind?
Yeah, he's some kind of priest. Like, he worships the Force, but he's not an actual Jedi.
I was going to say, because what defines Jedi? Because if you gave him a lightsaber, then he probably would be.
Yeah, I don't
because he's
think
got
he
the
can like
skills.
channel the Force. I think these are the questions that they'll start to answer, because
Yeah.
this is a whole new concept that they're bringing
Yeah,
in.
Definitely.
The Jedi follow a code of like conduct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like depending on, I think there's like 3 factions of Jedi. There's obviously the light and the dark, but I don't
There's
think
grey
many
Jedi
people
as well.
know there's grey Jedi as well, which like combine both of them.
Mm.
And obviously there's like a whole bunch of stuff, because if you're a Jedi, that means you have to answer to someone, whereas I don't think that guy does.
Mm.
Which means
Yeah.
he may be a Jedi,
Okay.
but I don't think he'd
Freelance.
be a Jedi Knight, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
The most exciting part for me, though, was seeing Darth Vader in action again.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
apparently he's like full on the most violent Darth Vader that we've seen so far.
Yes. Oh,
So
It's,
we
who's
haven't had
playing
enough
it?
of
It's
that.
a character from Doctor Strange, isn't it? The villain who actually plays.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Darth Vader.
Huh.
He's also in the first James Bond, but with Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. He is the guy with the scar on his face. I can't remember his name.
Mads Nicholson.
Oh, that's cool.
He's a character in it, but he's not
I
Darth
thought he
Vader.
was Darth
He's
Vader.
Felicity Jones's father.
Oh right, I thought it was Darth Vader.
Unless he is also playing Darth Vader. I don't
I
know.
really hope James Earl Jones' voice back
That would-
comes back though.
Yes.
I really hope
Yeah.
James Earl Jones is back.
He's still out there, and yeah, they have to. It's like to me, it's illegal in a sense. that
He
that-
is Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel sorry for the guy who
Was in the
actually
suit.
wears the costume.
David Prowse, I think he's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody cares about the guy who wears his voice.
So next up, we're going to be discussing the trailer for Hacksaw Ridge. We watched it prior to this podcast, and I think everyone really got involved. What does everyone think?
So good. Oh, so good. I love history. My dad was in the Falklands War, and just war and everything about it really, really interests me. And the fact that this came, I can't think of any other film that does this take on war and history that it does. It follows the story of a person that goes into the army but doesn't actually hold a weapon, and he's a medic. And obviously at the time, you might have got the odd person like this, but it would have been extremely rare, and I like how they're bringing this to life.
Yeah, I think what the thing that gets me really emotive is the fact that he doesn't back down in the face of adversity. I mean,
Yeah.
he's going into the war. You see in the trailer Andrew Garfield, who looks to play the character really well.
Yeah,
You can see he actually, I reckon he actually got quite emotive about the role
Yeah,
because I think,
definitely. Who wouldn't?
yeah, exactly. But you
Yeah.
can see everything that he put into the role, and I think it really, really looks good. Well, everyone else think it was
Yeah,
great.
and the fact that he still helps his wounded comrades, even though we see that they
Yeah.
are absolutely horrendous to him to start with, because they
Yeah.
think he's a coward.
In one scene I saw in the trailer, they beat him up
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
very badly, and he still saved their lives even
Mm.
after that. And
What I
think
like is sorry, I can cut you off there.
it's fine.
But at the beginning of the trailer, they say we're waiting for him, and he's obviously paying his respects. And I like how, and assumingly at the end of the film, or definitely before the end of the film, his whole platoon kind of has respect for him, whereas at the start it's the complete opposite. I know loads of films follow this thing, but like I said before, in my personal opinion, it's very original in that sense.
Yeah, the fact that we can get so emotive over just the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they know exactly what they're doing
Yeah,
here with our
so good.
emotions.
Oh, it looks brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
really looking forward to it.
Really interesting. I think it's based on a true story as well.
yeah,
isn't it?
definitely.
And I think when it was first shown, was it Sundance or another festival?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was
Sundance.
people were in tears, people were standing up and clapping, and fantastic audience response to it.
Yeah, so that drops this month, and really looking forward to seeing it. To be honest.
Cool. And another film that's coming out this week is Fantastic Beasts. How are we feeling about that?
Beyond excited.
Yeah, definitely.
I am the biggest Harry Potter fan you will probably ever find.
How do you feel about it being stretched out? I think, is it 5 films?
5 films, yeah. I
Damn,
think
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
in a way I think it's good because there is so much in the Harry Potter books that you don't get to see, like the whole of like the back history of like Grindelwald and Dumbledore and all that. I think they're going to have to be careful though, just in case they don't stretch it out too far.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
You know what I mean?
So are we getting 5 Fantastic Beasts, air quotes, films, or are we getting 5 Harry Potter spin-off films? Because if it's 5 films following the story of Eddie Redmayne,
I have a slight
I'm not
feeling,
quite sure about that.
I have a slight feeling they'll follow the protagonist in the film coming
Yeah.
up, because obviously he's quite an expensive actor to pay for, so they'll probably get a contract in there and probably follow him with different stories. That's what I do.
Yeah, well, I love the wider universe of Harry Potter. I
Yeah,
think it's
definitely.
fantastic. There's so much scope to do more stories with it, and they want to lead it right into the birth and sort of the rise of Voldemort.
Oh, that would be cool. Because
Yeah.
then it would be kind of annoying, but as a semi Harry Potter fan, obviously not as much as you, but you could watch these films and then the original Potter series. Oh, that would be so cool.
It would be
I'd
beyond
love
cool.
that.
You know, what I absolutely love about Harry Potter is that we've grown up with a classic. Like
Yes.
in our children's children are going to be learning about Harry Potter in English
Yeah.
literature classes.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be in the classics section.
Yeah, and in my film studies, they're always talking about obviously black and white classics and what defined film, but then once film is defined, then there's the amazing films out there that actually make film what it is, and yeah, and as you just said, it's obviously one of them.
Deathly Hallows.
What about it?
Oh, come on.
On the subject of Fantastic Beasts, though, I think it was Johnny Depp was being cast
For the next
for
one,
the
isn't
for the
it?
next one. Yeah, is he
Yeah.
Grindelwald?
We were talking about that last week, and has any actual definite information been released
I
yet?
think he's been confirmed to be cast. I'm not sure if he's definitely Grindelwald or not.
I was saying last week that I wouldn't be surprised to see him. I know he's obviously a very high-grossing actor as well, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a shop, because you know the guy who sells the wands. I can imagine him
Ollivander.
having the characteristics of that. If you know what I mean.
That'd be
Yeah,
hilarious.
maybe. Yeah.
Thing is, though, when he's running off down the street and the ringleaders, there'd be spells
With the
flying
hands,
everywhere.
Yes. I see you remember last week's podcast very well.
I do.
Yeah, the mannerisms of Johnny Depp are a bit hit and miss for me.
Oh, either way, his character everyone's gonna love, because, and as I said last week, Johnny Depp off screen is quite boring and monotone, but on screen he just becomes this one in a million personas, and it's just
I saw him
amazing.
in Black Mass recently, which is a mobster film,
yeah.
and he was the scariest person. Think Heath Ledger Joker, but even scarier than that.
Fair enough.
He's the extremely good sort of criminal mastermind. So he
can play
definitely still has
everything.
that range.
Yeah.
I think he's very typecast at the moment for
Yeah.
being sort of the kooky
Yeah.
kind of character.
Yeah.
But to celebrate the release of Fantastic Beasts on Friday, the Tyneside Cinema's doing a butterbeer and tea evening.
I'd have the cakes and stuff like that. Butterbeer. Anyone who has been to the sets of Harry Potter and bought a butterbeer, they'll know that how much of a waste of money it is. I hate it with a very strong passion. The first sip's okay, and you're like, You take the second sip, and you're like, oh no, where's the nearest bin?
You really don't like it.
No. Do you like it?
I've never actually tried it.
Don't.
I actually once attempted to make it. May I just suggest you never do that?
Nope. But I can imagine someone making it, and when someone tries to make something without any ingredients, it always tastes horrible. Just imagine that, but probably a 0.5% worse, and that's the actual taste of butterbeer. I have a very strong passion, I've realised, and I really don't like it.
You know what? I probably did it right, and that's why it tastes disgusting.
Probably, exactly, yeah.
As well as that, we have. Well, I saw The Accountant recently as well.
Tell us.
Definitely sing the praises of The Accountant,
Yeah.
because I love Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
I think Ben Affleck's Batman saved Batman vs Superman.
yeah,
The
definitely.
best scenes were here. If I could cut that film down into just Batman scenes. So in The Accountant he plays an accountant, but he's an accountant for criminal organisations.
Yeah.
And he's also a very Batman type figure. He's been trained from sort of being a young boy
Yeah.
because he has pretty severe autism, so his father trains him to be able to defend himself
Yeah.
and look after himself. And I was worried about that fact because a lot of times in films they kind of overplay the fact that the character has autism. It's kind of it's very in your face, and he only explains specifically that he has autism once,
Yeah.
and there is a context behind him explaining it. It's not sort of like, "Hi everyone, this is I have to explain myself. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have to explain himself. His mannerisms sort of speak for
Yeah.
themselves.
As a person with autism, like I haven't seen the film yet, but the trailers define the aspects of what type of autism he's got very well. And as you said, it's not very in your face. And there's scenes where he's a kid and he's obviously organising stuff, and when he's cooking his food, it's very like that. In that type of sense, I think there's obviously some cases like that out there with people with autism that do that. But to my opinion, that's a little bit overplayed. But I guess that's kind of a characteristic of the character, not. Obviously, it would play a part in his autism, but I think that'll just add to the character in the film, which I honestly don't mind, because as a person that loves and wants to make film, I'd probably do the same.
Well, some of the reviews that I've sort of read and watched, some people think that they kind of play the autism almost like a superpower.
Yes, I love that. I love that concept.
I actually don't like that concept,
really?
Because I think that it takes away from the fact that it's an everyday thing and makes it like, oh, it's fantastic that he's got autism. It helps him along the way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's more subtle than that. He is a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
Because he works at it, not because he's got autism.
I'm gonna roll you back a bit. This is where the war starts.
Go for it.
My mum does a lot of special kind of autism things and goes around to different schools and helps out a ton of people. And what she says is that this might be kind of a sales pitch to people out there that have autism, and it's kind of like an uplifter, but it's like genuinely true. People with autism genuinely have higher IQs than the average person, because obviously I have Asperger's, which makes me very specific in what I want to do, whereas everyone else, in my eyes, kind of has this massive range of different things that they can do, whereas people with autism and with Asperger's, from my point of view, they specify to one thing. So my one thing is film. So I might have a general better IQ than everyone, but that's only because it's specified in one single place, so everything's concentrated, whereas everyone else is kind of spread out. So him being more clever is somewhat true, and he's kind of assuming that this was a real story, the character would probably play on that, and he would have been more clever because of his abilities as a person with autism, and being able to actually concentrate on what he's currently doing in the film.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree at all, but I'm saying like there is an aspect of he has autism, and that doesn't stop him. Like it's not like obviously it's a natural gift in a way, but it's not like an automatic leg up. Like he does work hard, and because he works hard, he gets what he wants.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's a fantastic idea to have a character with autism in this role.
Yeah.
Because we could do with more realistic superheroes in general. It is basically a superhero movie. We'll need to say that.
Yeah, basically.
I feel like there just isn't generally enough in film, movies, or TVs of people who aren't like
who have disabilities.
It's
absolutely
like
when you
ignored.
like I watched a film yesterday. I've forgotten what it's called, but it's the guy who plays Ant-Man becomes a helper for this person in a wheelchair, and I think even though obviously the film has the genre which is kind of a comedy / drama / whatever it was, I think films there's so many rare films about people with disabilities that it's kind of a genre within itself, and I kind of find that disappointing. I know it with the rarity that disabilities come to film, it kind of adds a bit of a shock and a bit of interest to the film, but at the same time I do find it a bit disappointing that it's so rare that it kind of automatically adds that to a film.
The fact that I prefaced it by going, it's the one where Ben Affleck is autistic and he's also this.
Yeah.
But I look forward to the day when it's just like a normal film. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah, he's a brilliant character. Like you don't even need to say it's the one where he plays the boy with autism or I think it's the same with gay cinema as well. The fact that HMV has like a separate section for homosexual romances, whereas one day eventually we'll be lucky enough for that. It's just normal romance.
It's
we
just
don't even
in
think
there,
about
yeah.
it.
Exactly. Like it's. I don't want to relate this to politics, but the things that are going down with Trump and his people in America right now.
Don't
I
even
find-
get me started.
Yeah, I know, but I find it stupid. And if we can't even put these things like gay marriage and disabilities into film, no wonder that's happening over there. So I'm kind of glad that I'm going to be one of those new generation people in film, and I can actually eventually put something like that across.
I'm hoping that we're moving in the right direction, because things like Imitation Game,
Yes.
like things like that, which was very much sort of we've had the Turing Act recently talked about in government, like just awful things that have happened in the past with the treatment of homosexuals, and the fact that films are addressing these and sort of calling them out. Hopefully we're moving in the right direction, but we'll have to see.
I think slowly but surely, then people in film only become directors or writers if they have an overall respect, because the people that make films, like my idol is J.J. Abrams, and he's a legend. He's all about like everyone's rights and different things, and I think slowly but surely and comfortably we'll get there. It's just if we do it all of a sudden, sadly, there's going to be a ton of people out there that will disagree with a film that has gay marriage and different things that they don't agree with. Sadly, that's what is going to happen. So I think, and as I've said so many times already before, slowly but surely, when the human race actually becomes decent, films out there would actually introduce these things.
Yeah, I think it's about the approach, because we had a similar problem with the new Ghostbusters film.
Exactly.
The huge uproar, and because simply because it was an all-female cast. I don't agree with how the Ghostbusters PR team and how the actresses handled it, because they handled it by insulting the people who were raising concerns. Fair enough, a lot of the concerns weren't legitimate concerns, but they could have acted a bit more maturely about it. And the fact that it was marketed a lot purely on being a female-driven cast, as I say about the sort of the way in the future, hopefully it'll just be so normal that you don't think about it. You won't advertise a film because it's an all-female cast. Great cast. You don't have to say female cast. It's brilliant cast.
One of my actual annoyances about that film was, do you know the secretary? They had the male secretary.
Chris Hemsworth.
Nothing wrong with that. It was the fact that they legit showed in the trailer the only reason he got hired was for his looks.
Oh yeah.
I'm like.
Yeah, because they're stereotyping, aren't they?
I feel like it's a little bit hypocritical, isn't it?
It's beyond hypocritical.
Because if we'd cast sort of another male trio, and they hired some very good looking actress, and it was very obvious that that was the only reason she was hired,
there would have been so much
Yeah.
uproar. And I'm like, none of it's right, but still at the same time it's so hypocritical. I'm like,
I think the concept of everything, because unfortunately sexism was obviously a massive thing back in the day, and women's rights and things like that, and it's really unfortunate, because even though people say yes, we've got over that fact because we now have women that work for equal wage and different things
in
that
most
sort
jobs.
out. Yeah, exactly.
in most jobs.
Yeah, not all. Sadly.
And it's really, really sad that still at the back of people's heads we still do things like that. So people who in films hire a really pretty woman to be their secretary, and it's meant to be a joke, but at the end of the day it's not. It's just holding back the human race from the point that we were saying earlier, to actually just get on and make different things and actually be equal.
And I mean that's a nice segue, because a new film came out called The Arrival, which is apparently fantastic. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet. I really want to.
I'm looking forward to watching it. Apparently it's amazing. But I think it's Amy Adams, the lead actress.
I think so, yeah.
I was listening to a podcast with one of the writers of the film, and he was saying that the film would have been made a lot earlier and would have been given a much bigger budget had they changed to a male lead, because they
Really?
pitched it because the book that it's loosely based on has a female lead, like in
Yeah.
the film, and apparently they pitched it so many times, and they just wouldn't take it. They said the brilliant idea would take it if you change it to a male actor,
That's ridiculous.
a male lead. So I don't know if that's about advertising, if it's easier for them to advertise or what, but I think it's horrendous
See,
that that's a problem.
I think the female protagonist makes the film. I think this is one of the actual small bunch of films that is actually, obviously I haven't seen it yet, but is by the trailer it looks equal. She's there in her profession, been working at a university, and the government come in, ask for her
Yeah.
opinion because she's the best qualified for it, and
Mm.
surprisingly it's not a male that's better than her for her line of work. So, and she's in this mixed environment with different people trying to sort out this global situation, and it actually looks decent in that sense.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be a thought.
Exactly.
Like, the fact that this exists is just absolutely mind-boggling to me. When we have so many fantastic films with female leads as well,
Yeah.
and brilliant female actresses at the moment as well.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It is crazy. People in the film industry be cray-cray.
yeah. That's why we get into the film industry and change it.
Yeah.
We're expecting
You
big
heard it
things
here
from you.
first.
Yeah, and I think we'll wrap up there. If anyone
Yeah.
else has anything else to talk
No,
about,
Perfect timing, it's all good.
cool. We'll
Yeah.
leave it there.
Yeah.
So I'm Jordan,
I'm Stacey.
And I'm Cameron.
and we'll see you next week. Woohoo!